Well, welcome along to another video. Hope everyone's well and still getting along in these dark lockdown days. I seem to wake up in the morning to go to work in the dark and come home in the dark, which is a bit ridiculous because I am working from home still. We've got a slice of pie in front of us today. This is a Pi 1354 mains battery transistor set dating from 1961-1962-ish. It's just a medium wave long wave set, covered in this red vinyl cloth here. It's got a nice reflective Pi badge there. The mains battery transistor logo or thing here, it looks like it's hot stamped into the set rather than being printed on. There's a real brass surround here, and this, while it's absolutely filthy, should be a bright silver. The tuning is by slow motion drive here. We've got a real brass tuning or real brass knob thing here to undo it. We've got a plastic dial face cover here which has cracked in a couple of places, and yeah, it should, and there's, I don't know if that's dirt or gold paint originally. Got a couple of station markers here, one in silver or chrome and one in brass for medium wave long wave. There's the bottom. On the side we've got this gold escutcheon thing with the on and off switch and the volume and the wave band selection. This one looks a bit dented and there seems to be a screw missing from here. The case is separated into three parts by this white piping. On the top we've got a rigid handle that doesn't push flat as some sets do, and we've got these two brass handle ends here. The case itself is absolutely filthy. It's really bad. Now there should be a little leather pull thing here to get the back off, and we've got a main switch where you insert your mains lead there. So let's jam a screwdriver in here and try and release the catch. There we go. So the back's just hardboard and it's a little bit warped, a little bit. Just needs a book placing on it for a week or so, something heavy. Inside we've got sort of very early flow soldered PCB. That feels very stiff and old. This is the wave band switching on the side here, almost a leftover from the valve days with these silver plated contacts. We got a on-off volume control there, and this interesting mains battery switch here, and I can see how it works now. When the mains lead of whatever sort is inserted, it has a little spring contact there. You see it springs apart as this bit rides up. It doesn't spring apart very well. Well, it sort of does. So that must be the battery cut-off. We've got a 9-volt transformer, I guess, there. And we've got a NKT transistor used as switching. Now this was made locally to me in Cambridge. I live just outside of Cambridge, so obviously quite important, and I'd like to say thanks to Simon Spires who spotted this and forced me to buy it. The set will have NKT transistors in it, I believe. I have seen someone else's pictures of their radio in the inside. It's not a very common radio, but we'll get the PCB out in a few minutes. Now in the manual, what I have got, it says it's a PP7 battery, which I find a bit unusual. The PP9, which is larger, does actually fit in there. So yeah, so the next thing to do is find out how to take it apart, or as commonly known, RTFM, and we'll come back in a minute and we'll have a look at the PCB and see what state everything's in. Right, I've read the instructions, so here we go. First thing we've got to do is take this out. It says there's 3 screws in here. Obviously, as you can see, one is actually missing here. So that seems to want to come out. It does definitely want to come out. Right, and then we need to remove this, and we use the proper manufacturer's tool to do this, which is a pair of fine nose pliers. Spin that out. And let's do a sensible thing and rotate it to one end before we start, and that just falls off. Now unfortunately you can see the crack, and that crack has gone all the way through it, so I'll need to put some super glue in there. And there's the all important fixing to hold it on. Now evidently you pull this off, or maybe you don't. Take off the felt pad. Does this just pull off? Or do we need a clutch puller on it? No screws, no fixings. Let me come back and I'll try and get that off properly. It might need a bit of special force, like a medieval hammer or something. I've been trying to work around the tripod here, so I've moved the tripod over to one side, and the tripod is literally on the end of my finger here. So hopefully this will give you a better view. Now these tend to get stuck, so what you can do is get a bit of cloth underneath and lift up, so you're pulling up equally on all sides. I'm going to try and get this off with my finger. So I've lined everything up, this little rotating nut with the rest of the shaft down below. We're going to see if we can just lift it off with a little bit of wiggle, and it is coming. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I just didn't have enough room to work with my hands either side wrapped around the tripod there. A little bit tough. So that's the disc, and you can see it's got some dirt up in the hole there. So just years of dried out grease from the slow motion drive. And then we've got this felt washer, and then you can see the original colour of this mesh grill here. Now evidently we have to take this screw out here, and then we have to take that screw out there that holds the battery leads. Now you don't want to just start undoing random screws here. This one holds, I believe, the centre spacer thing in the middle of the speaker, and these 3 will hold the tuning capacitor on. So don't just start undoing random screws. Follow the instructions. And it's quite clear here. So this is what it says in the instructions of how to remove the chassis. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm doing this one, I can feel it's got loose, and we yeah, there we go, nice and easy. Right, there we go. So we've got a what looks like a capacitor, electrolytic capacitor bracket or something there, and that's how the PCB's held on there. And I was right, that was the centre spacer of the voice coil of the speaker, so we definitely didn't want to undo that. So let's have a look at the PCB. I can see we've got Hunt's capacitors in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got a big one there, 5, 6, 7, we've got 7 of those nasty black Hunt's capacitors. We've got some old electrolytics here, they might be Hunt's, not positive, they're 12 volt DCs. We need to get those out. That one looks a little bit bulgy actually. Got a nice thick ferrite rod there. It's interesting, this, you know, you would have seen some of these components in valve sets of the day. There's not much lead length here to work with, so I'm likely going to have to unsolder the speaker wires here just to try and get the set out to work on it, or the PCB. We've got the output pair here. We've got a little wire wound potentiometer that's sealed with wax. I guess that's for adjusting the bias on the driver, which is here. We've got 2 AF coupling. We've got a very small electrolytic there, very tiny little thing. And we've got these lovely copper IF cans here, and as I thought, all the transistors are NKTs, as befits a Pi set, because Pi owned NKT, New Market Transistors. So what I'm going to do now is take a few reference photographs so I don't connect things the wrong way around, and I'll unsolder this and we'll get the PCB out, and then we can start work. And this is very, very gummy, very stiff. That should just turn around quite easily, and it's not. So let's just see if we can mesh it. That is, oh, there we go, that way around. Right, so that's fully meshed. That's quite an important thing to do, because while you're prodding around in there, it's quite easy to bend the veins there. Right, so yeah, I'll take a few photographs and then we'll start working on replacing capacitors. That's probably a bigger speaker than I thought. It's probably a 6-inch speaker. Let's have a... No, I was right, it's a 4-inch speaker. But an interesting little early 60s set anyway. Hopefully it sounds okay. I've not even tested anything yet, but underneath the dirt it does look in fairly good condition. Right, I'll take some photographs. Right, so when you're taking photographs, which I've just done, make sure you get it at all angles, not just straight down on the board. Make sure you get shots at like an oblique angle, and especially things like the waveband switching and things like that, because if you're moving the board around, sometimes a wire can, you know, pull off. If these are single core wires, then they can pull off and you go, where did that come from? And that's happened to me several times. And if you haven't got another set to reference back to, I mean, these are quite rare, so I'm not likely to have another one of these. Roberts R600, Hacker Sovereign, I've got quite a few of those, so I can refer back to them. On something like this, it's really important to take lots of photographs of different angles, so you can just refer back to it. Right, that's it for this video. Next time we're going to be taking all the capacitors out, changing the resistators if any need it, if any are burnt underneath, and yeah, just give it a good old service and then we can try it. I don't plan to show every single capacitor being changed. We've seen too many capacitor changing videos, and to be honest, it's not much excitement. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. So I'll probably do a couple on camera and then just change the rest. Or I might just change them and just leave the last couple. No one wants to see capacitor changing. So there we go, that's it for this video. Should be a nice little set when it's done. It's not in too bad condition. Yeah, quite pleased with it. Thank you, Mr. Spires.